Hello, welcome to Parenthetically Speaking. I am Tawanda Clark Edgall, the Chief Program Officer at Gwen's Girls, sitting here with Maria Searcy, the education guru and education consultant that works with us at Gwen's Girls. Maria, again, I am so happy to see you, and I am happy to our viewing audience for tuning in with us today. Welcome.
Oh, Tawanda, I'm telling you, the traffic getting to East Liberty from the north side, it just reminds me of when my kids were in school a couple years ago at Pittsburgh Obama, fighting traffic on a Friday when I had to go to a parent-teacher conference. It just triggered these bad memories.
Oh, I certainly remember that. I remember trying to make it from work, get home, prepare something quickly for dinner, make sure that the children were able to get through their homework so that I could make it back to the PTA meeting. And to tell you the truth, I'd get to the meeting, and a lot of times I didn't feel like the meeting were really inclusive of my demographic. Yeah. I didn't feel like the school was inviting or even wanted me to be there. But I made an attempt to be there because it was important enough for my children that I was. But when I think about that, Maria, it really makes me think about the barriers. And when we hear people saying this whole concept around parent engagement, I wonder, what do systems do, and what part do they play in making sure that our young people are engaged?
And that's why parent voice is so important, because for a parent like myself who was fighting traffic and trying to, make it to the important meetings, not only the parent-teacher conferences, but the PSCC meetings and those kind of important meetings, you just wanted to say it's really stressful, and it's a deterrent to parent engagement, especially when you're coming across town to a parent-teacher conference. You have to stand in line for an hour to see one teacher, So how do we better utilize those type of resources? Absolutely. I know we're not in brick and mortar schools now, but we'll be back sometime school. So we want to have a new and improved type of school system where parent and student voice is at the center.
Absolutely. I think you raised some really strong points about how we can do it differently now, and that, I certainly remember waiting in those long lines as well, but were there some other things that I could have engaged in during that time?
Absolutely.
That I was there? Was there information that the school could have given me that would have been supportive? Could they have given me something to eat, perhaps?
Could they have given you a number and sent you somewhere so you could understand some inner workings of the school and just,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they could have fed my mind while I was waiting in line.
That's right.
Great.
I like that.
Great.
I like that.
So, since the last time we were here for Parenthetically Speaking, we were preparing for the election, and we didn't know what the outcome was going to be, but we do now. What do you think?
Oh, my. What do I think? First of all, I'm so thankful that we made history in this city. Our first Black mayor-elect, Ed Gainey. Isn't that a wonderful outcome?
Absolutely. What do you think that's going to do in terms of changing the trajectory of the way things are done within our school systems and communities?
In my heart, I know the change is going to occur, because I know Ed. I have sat in meetings with him where educational equity, social justice was on the table. And Ed is homegrown. He's a graduate of Peabody. He worked extensively at the state and local level in the fight, did extensive work in Westinghouse,
Great.
Fighting. So, it is so great to to think about having a Black mayor who understands the needs of our students, our families, and our communities.
Absolutely.
Maybe the
wonderful.
Traffic will change too, right?
We certainly hope. That would be great. So we also had some new school board members to take seat as well. Talk a little bit about that and what that's going to mean.
Very important, especially when we're unseating incumbents. So that just goes to tell you that people want to see change. So we had, that happen. And so, what is really important is that we have school board, we have people on the school board who have experience with social service organizations, that were teachers, that are social justice workers who understand the needs of community. And so I'll give you an example so remember when I showed you, we talked about on our last meeting, the organizational chart.
Absolutely.
Remember who was at the top in that block?
I do. We talked about parents being at the top of that chart.
Parents, students, and community,
right,
above the school board directors and the superintendent.
Absolutely.
And so now we have this big pot of money that is coming from the federal and state government called ESSER. ESSER. That
Okay.
acronym is important for parents in the community to understand. That's the Elementary Secondary School Emergency Relief.
Elementary, secondary, school emergency relief. Did you get that, parents? Education, secondary, school emergency relief. Okay.
The acronym is important, and the amount of money that the Pittsburgh Public School District is getting is really important.
How much money did they get?
$160 million.
Oh, that's
On top of school improvement money and on top of Title One. So this money is just sort of like to recover, not sort of, but to recover learning loss as a result of the pandemic. It's unprecedented. 1.9 trillion in the nation, and this pot of money for Pennsylvania.
So we're
for
really
Pittsburgh.
talking about being able to make a difference to bridge that achievement gap.
That's right, because remember, okay, I've been volunteering as a parent on the Pennsylvania Title I State Parent Advisory Council. This money is a result of Pittsburgh being a full Title I school district, which means that this Title I is a federal law that was written for students who are impoverished and to solve the achievement gap, to eliminate, let me get the right word, to eliminate the achievement gap.
Absolutely.
So this money, we wouldn't get this money if we weren't Title I. So the federal government is saying, here's who we want to direct the usage of the money. Students, parents, and the community. Not the superintendent's job. Pittsburgh Public Schools superintendent's job is to call together a community stakeholder group for him to get out of it and let them make the decision with the school board directors.
And so what we know is that if we keep doing things the same way that we've always done them, we're going to keep getting what we've always gotten. So we really need to heed and make some significant changes if we want to see changes happen with our school and with our children, right?
That's exactly right. And so the government is saying with this money, there are some allowable uses. There are some things that this money can be used for. Summer recovery. It can be assistance to families. It can be for equity initiatives. So they're saying that the Pennsylvania Department of Education is saying, we have these allowable uses, and here's the guidance on it. But we encourage districts to make a plan in concert with students, families in the community, talking to principals, talking to board directors, come up with this community stakeholder group and say, what do you need, parents, students, community? What do you need to recover learning loss? Okay? So it's community centered.
And that is great to hear, but I want to go back to the way that we started this off, talking about the traffic and how difficult it was just to get here, how difficult it was just to make it out to one of those meetings. What level of responsibility does the school system have to be more inclusive of our parents, to guarantee that they have a seat at the table to influence some of the decision making that's done?
I mean, it's just to augment our voice, to have an equal decision making, to share power. Okay. So this is what we're doing. This is what Gwen's Girls is doing, giving a parent like myself, a parent advocate, a voice to talk to other parents, to talk to community and say, here's what we need. We need to be heard. Okay. We need for them to understand. So I wouldn't have fought traffic for my kids to be at Obama if schools in my neighborhood on the north side were a better choice. Okay. They would have been 5 minutes from my house, Perry High School.
So we really have to do something to make sure that we're improving those neighborhood schools, right?
Absolutely.
And we need to give them the same chance that we have some schools that are out of many of our districts. So we want to make sure that we give all of the schools an equitable chance to thrive in the environments and the communities in which they're in.
That's right. And that's how we're going to close the achievement gap. Because the research tells us when parents get involved, when involvement just doesn't mean coming to the school. Involvement means helping parents to understand the system and how to navigate it. So you don't want to create a system that is not centered around student achievement and student and family and parent engagement. When that happens, we're marginalized. We're on the outside. So in order to have a system that works for students, families, and communities, it has to be where we have an equal seat at the table and equal say so, and that decision-making power has to be shared.
And I don't feel like you're talking over my head. You're talking in such a way that means that you're including me in the process.
That's right.
So
That's
you're
right.
thinking about ways to best utilize my time. You remember going to the PTA meetings or the school conferences, and you remember those long lines that they had while you're waiting to talk to a teacher?
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't that have been an opportunity to educate or facilitate a conversation that would help me better understand some of the things that were happening in the school?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, just like with this money that we're supposed to direct. When I say we, I mean the community. We are the community. So we shouldn't have to dig in a Pittsburgh Public School website to find out about this money. Like, where are the community meetings around this? You know,
Absolutely.
I mean, it's in the paper. It was a small article in the paper, but I actually dug the guidance out on the Pittsburgh Public School website. So go ahead.
So I just want to say this because we know that it's going to be a challenge for our parents to hear about when these meetings are being held. And so one of the things that I want to encourage our parents to do is to tune into Parenthetically Speaking, because you're going to do the digging for them. You're going to find the information for them. And so if you watch Parenthetically Speaking, you will know when those meetings are occurring, and you will know how to have a seat at the table, what you need to do so that your voice is heard.
And so let me make some clarity. So when our district leaders, that when they come up with these groups, when these groups are formed, parents just can't say, I want to be a part of it. But what parents can do is say, in these forums, in these platforms, in the community, say, we understand and we're going to hold you accountable, because that's where the power comes in. So we don't necessarily need to be in the internal groups, but we need, as a community, to be able to say, here's how we're going to come up with measures of accountability. Okay? So we want to make sure we have the information. We can have conversations about it.
Absolutely.
And so this is where the mayor would come in.
Okay.
Because the mayor can direct the traffic on bringing people to the table, because he is the CEO of the city.
Absolutely.
And that's how it can happen.
Okay. Well, that is certainly great to hear. And that's encouraging. It's optimistic to know that there are some changes that are going to be made that are going to move us in the right direction in closing that achievement gap. Yes. We certainly know that it can be done. We have had educators that have proven that because of their passion, their enthusiasm, and their will to change the trajectory of student learning, they've been able to close the gap. So we're looking for educators that are passionate and want to make that change.
That's right, and believe that Black children and poor children can learn.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know what? This is another segment of Parenthetically Speaking. It does go quickly. We want to thank you for tuning in with us, because this was just a great opportunity to, again, have you here to share your information, your knowledge with us. Keep tuning in, and she will definitely be the support to guide you and helping you navigate your way through the school system. Again, I'm Tawanda Clark Edgall, Chief Program Officer at Gwen's Girls, sitting here with our education consultant and education guru, Maria Searcy. Maria, do you want to close us out with anything?
I just want to say that, it is my hopes that and belief that this change is going to occur for us, because a great city needs a great school system. And so that begins with parents, that begins with students, families, and a community being knowledgeable, and for leaders to work together to augment our voices, to be heard, to share power, and that's how it's going to happen.
Absolutely. We're believing that that's going to happen. Thank you again for tuning in to Parenthetically Speaking, and we look forward to seeing you the next time. Have a great evening.
Bye-bye.